Right guys, welcome back to the YouTube video here on the channel. My name is Emily. Today we're driving 6 Zulu 50, the 1229 Chadderston sidings to Wembley EFOC service. We've got 50 Thunder on the front, towing a rake of empty PNA-F wagons. These are just some empty ballast wagons that were taken down to Wembley, I presume to be loaded with either used ballast or spoil. So what we'll do is I'm going to get my cap repaired. I'm going to do this really quickly, purely on the grounds of the fact that this is literally my third attempt tonight at recording this. No, my fourth attempt tonight. Never mind the fact that I've already recorded this video in full, but the audio didn't work. So let's see how this goes this time. So, six Zulu 50. And it's signal 548 that we've been told to use. So go reverse or forward, and we're going to quickly set ourselves to brake time. Brake timings to goods, which is done there now. That basically just means that we get a slightly slower brake application and release. So we'll let our brakes off. You'll see those start to fall away as the brake pipe equalises with the cylinders. And then what I'll do is I'll just go notch 2 of power, just to give the train something to think about moving. And we'll start rolling. So our first point is we're at 10 mph speed limit and we should stop against that board just ahead of us. So I'm just going to roll really slowly whilst we go over there. What I'll do is that's about 10 already. So we'll go idle power now. And just let the train roll forward. I'm not going to focus on the PNAs until we get to Derby, because we do stand there for a few minutes. And I just want to make sure that we do this part, as well as we can do. So that is our brake post, our stop post, sorry. So what I'm going to do is just use a step 1 brake application, or a jabber brake basically, just to make the train think about slowing down, coming to a stand. So there's 30 sort of bar on the bogies, so 30 inches of pressure. So we wait here until basically we get the instruction from the game. So what I'm going to do is let the brake out, use the loco brake to secure us in place. Where's the loco? Oh, that's down there in this cab. So we're using the loco brake to secure the train. What I'll do as well, as we're leaving the yard, I'll turn our high intensity headlight on. You don't have high intensity headlights on in the yard, because basically you blind someone. But look at okay, we've got the right way, so let's get going places. So that's off. I'm going to hold my brake into overcharge, and that's just to overcharge the brake cylinders. Yeah, you can see the brake pipe's overcharged. No! Okay, I have to tick, and that deregisters it anyway. Great. So we'll just go for it, and we're going to get away from here. So start speed is 10 miles an hour once again. But as we pass the 25 post, we can actually accelerate as we pass it, basically. It's a bit of a strange one. So we are... No! 6 Zulu 50, perfect. It retained 6 Zulu 50 this time. The last time I tried to do it, it didn't retain. So the reason that happened was I've got a new keyboard, and it's really sensitive to touch. So basically, as soon as I touch it, like even half press, like what I did to move my throttle there was a half press. It moves. So it's just relearning my muscle memories, I guess. But yeah. So I just caught a glimpse through the corner of my eye of something, and yeah. It just made me cringe internally. But there you go. So there's the 25. So we'll accelerate. It's literally as soon as the nose passes it, we can speed up a little. So I'll actually just keep us at 10 for now. But you can see the yard area here it's quite a different little area, you know, different little route. So just, yeah, we're not bothering any of that at the moment. Hand lamps, we don't need those because, yeah. So I'm just gonna let you know, I'm gonna follow the realism here and just let the end of the train pass. What I would do is just poke my head out the cab and wait until I saw the end of my train pass, you know. But you know, I'd have to sort of do this, and that's not working anyway. So yeah. So it's past the end now. So power on. Let's go. So 25 ahead, single amber. So we know we're stopping in Derby. So I'll just go up to 20 for now. Just like a bit of, you know, cull roll, as they say. And then we can coast into Derby. And be held there and wait our route. So I think basically it lets... The signal is going to let a Cardiff to Nottingham Express out in front of us. Kind of makes sense not making us hold him up, but we do have to sit there. Well, we could just sit there for 9 minutes. So, yeah, I'm going to do a jump cut when we get there, but it'll give us a good chance to look over the PNAs. Moving, they've got the same sound effect as the four-wheel wagon pack. I quite like them actually. I think it's the proportions that make them quite satisfying to look at to me, but yeah. So yeah, you can see some 170s down there. I think one of those is what we're going to be following. But he's booked a stand here, so we have to wait for him, basically. So actually, I am just going to approach quite slowly because I'm conscious we're going against a red. And you don't want to go barreling into that because it just gets you in trouble. Welcome to Derby. And what we'll do is I'll just put my brake on as we go under the overpass here. It's not a particularly long train. I mean, you can see, you know, we've already got the entire train in the signal section, so that's all we need, really. And it'll just give us a chance to stop the train, have a look around, and go from there. So, yeah. There's the red aspect. And we can blow the brake on. I'm actually going to use quite a sharp brake application because I'm going to be effectively securing the cab for me to exit and have a look around on the station. So, yeah. Just checking behind us. You can see we're fully within the platform now. And what I'll do is just put us into shutdown, just so that we're not in the way. We'll set the reverse to neutral. I will press the ST button, just because that's the standing signal button. So I have to send a message to the signaller. They're going to have a look and see if they can let us out, and they're going to reply. And either that signal will change, or we'll get a button that's a message that says wait. So you get the signal saying absolutely not, you can wait your book time. Fair enough, guys. So having a look around, so the 50 looks absolutely splendid. See, there's a 170. So this is sort of 40 years newer train than the 50. Looking over the wagons here, I think they're really cool. The level of detail here is absolutely great. You can read stuff like fleet control, so the telephone number for the fleet, and you can sort of look around the cab here, which is really cool. So not the cab, the vehicle. Okay, looking really up close here, you know, you start to see the breakdown of the shape, but like no one drives around at this angle, so that's absolutely acceptable from this range, which is, you know, what you're going to look at it at. It looks absolutely stunning. Just the level of detail here is great. Also the texture work, the weathering here. So this is weathering 3, I believe. You can see you've got a really filthy wagon. You've got your Cape logo there. You've got the details with fleet services, overhead line warning, not to be humped, and the really faded out rail track for renewing your railway. Absolutely love it. Of course, the important stuff's been retained because, you know, so wagons can run in traffic without corporate logos. They cannot run in traffic without data sheets. So that's been retained, which is really good. The detailing here is cool. I'm not sure if I've seen the couplings actually include the air hoses on other wagons, but yeah. Apart from that, like I say, the coupling looks good. Actually, I don't think so. I think I'm imagining things. I think it was just the coupling linkage you'd see there, not the air hose animation. But like I say, I love the proportion of these. I think it's just something about them I really enjoy. Quick little read of the history provided for these wagons by Armstrong Powerhouse. So this is the third and final, obviously, Wagon Wednesday. I should include that. So there probably won't be one this week. If there is, I'll cover it next week. That's sort of the way I work. So constructed from the late 90s. So actually we're doing, so because we're looking at PNA-Fs, using existing TTA underframes, 250 PNA-F wagons were constructed during 1988 and 1989 to assist in the replacement of the existing vacuum braked fleet, and could be found on engineers' trains. With the arrival of the newer wagons in 2008, the wagons fell out of favour, with the entire fleet being put into storage at Long Marston by the end of the year. In the mid to late 2010s, they had a brief resurgence with DC Rail, that's what we're doing here today, on ad hoc workings, but by the end of the decade, all were either scrapped or back in storage. So the wagons included are the MEA wagon with 4 liveries, the PNA wagon with 1 livery, and obviously weathering 1, 2 and 3 for all variants, empty and loaded versions with realistic physics, and there's 6 loads for the MEA wagons. That's new ballast, spoil, coke, coal, scrap and sand. And the PNA-F wagons have new ballast, old ballast, spoil and sand. Prototypical sounds is featured on the 4-wheel wagon pack, flashing a tail lamp and 1 realistic scenario for the Midland Main Line, which is what we're playing today. So like I say, overall, you know, I was a little bit disappointed when I saw it was going to be another sort of 4-wheel hopper. Oh, well, not hopper, gondola car in theory, I guess what there would be. So first of all, you know, I'm not against these because I think it adds variety, and especially the MEA, the FA, MHA, MTA, it means we can knock a really good little 4-wheel rake together now. But this sort of shape of wagon, shall we say, is really well represented now. And what I mean by that is sort of low-sided gondola car, to use an Americanism. So, you know, a wagon that doesn't tip itself, basically, but is used for ballast and stuff like that. And that's sort of what makes me a bit sad. I would have rather seen these for... I would have seen like a PCA wagon, because I think the sort of pressed flow wagons are, you know, they're few and far between in the world of TS. That's what I would have rather have seen, if I'm entirely honest. But overall, I don't really mind this. It's still a good wagon. It's still, like I say, it adds a lot of variety, and I quite like the way it looks, actually. Also, this scenario, it's a really good excuse to use a 50, in a way you normally wouldn't, so I quite like that. There goes the 170, so we're about to be following him out. But I'm just going to do a jump cut, and we'll wait until the signal clears to allow us to run. Hi there, everyone. Welcome back. I don't know why I did that. So my brain does this lately where it completely forgets where it just was. So, yeah, that road will be cleared momentarily for us. He's just snaking over. I was going to do a proper jump cut, but then I decided against it. The main reason I did the jump cut was... Yep. So I let that... Now that we're back in the cab, I can let that brake off. And again, I'm just going to overcharge it just because there's a lot, you know, we've got old wagons, and especially since I've just shut the cab down, I think it's important just to give the blast of air, especially on the older wagons, just to give them a chance to basically fully release brakes so that we don't end up with a dragging brake, because that would be bad. So now that indicates 0 and the brake's still under pressure indicator, I'm just going to put the brake back on in the form of the loco brake, the direct brake, just so that we don't end up rolling away, basically. I'm fairly sure Derby Station's level. There we go. Derby Station is level, but like I say, it's just, you know, securing trains and stuff, so yeah. Anyway, away at the race as we go. So our start speed limit is 30 miles an hour, 30. So we'll just let the train move away. We'll do a quick little sort of dispatch procedure. Look back along, make sure there's no one sort of messing about as we leave. Full power. There's 25, so I'll go idle now. And just go for a notch of power. On the left there, that's Etchers Park Depot. That's where sort of the majority of the East Midlands fleet is maintained. There's going to be another depot that passes over to Hitachi. very shortly. And then on the right hand side you have the Class 37 that is parked within the Derby Railway Technical Centre, the Derby RTC. So there you go, 2 ambers. So basically when we pass these, we can go up to 75. So you can see it's a test train there. So that's where the on-track measuring trains all originate from, is Derby RTC. Really quite cool as well. This loco is now in normal sort of Colas livery, but it's not owned by Colas. It's got a private operator, so it spent the first part of its career with the old numbered head code boards and in BR green livery, which I thought was quite cool. So we'll just go up to 75. Well, actually, I said 75 limit, but our train is limited to 60. 2 ambers. So actually, what I'll do is I'm just going to go half power now. Half power will actually eventually get us to 60. But it'll just slow the rate that we accelerate right down, so that we don't catch that 170 up. Because, you know, there's no point catching them up and chasing ambers all the way. Okay, I'm going to go right off the power now, because I can see that's 2 ambers. So I'm just going to coast for now at 50 and let him get some space on us. You can hear these sound absolutely great. I absolutely love the way these things sound. Got a nice little flat sound there. Green amber, sorry, green thingy. So I'll go back to about 3.5 powers and notch the power. And we'll just, like I say, it's you know, just continuous sort of thing there. We'll let that speed build up to 60. Yeah, so they are literally clearing as we catch up to them, so I'll accelerate about notch 5.5. See, I think he may stop at Long Eaton, and if he does, we have to stand on the brakes and stop, so yeah. I think we did get away. We got away about on time, actually. Probably like a hair ahead. So you can see our timings are Sheet Stores at 12:56. So Sheet Stores Junction is the big junction after Long Eaton, where the line sort of diverges sort of 4 ways-ish, really. So the main line sort of heads towards London, but then if you're coming up from London, you can turn left to go to Nottingham and Towton, and up sort of the Airwash line. So there's 60, so I'll just go coast for now. Especially since I can see I'm already chasing adverse signals here. Tick to retain. And it's just reset itself. So, interestingly, yeah. So, sensitive fingers Emily is back and forth. Oh no, 6050 is there. So, no issues. That one, 2.5. We'll leave it at like low power setting. Just basically to sustain us at this speed. But overall, pretty cool little train. I really do enjoy these wagons. So we'll do one more quick little drive-by, and then we'll focus on driving again. I think that sounds about right, really. So yeah, that's good. I enjoy it. I really do. Like I say, for $4.99, I really can't complain. You know. And like I say, the weathering on these is, in my opinion, absolutely spot on. Really filthy, but the vital bits have been cleaned, which is really good as well. It's not just effectively a weathering mask. It's just, you know, the right stuff's been cleaned off, basically. So I just had to send a meme to one of my friends. Yeah, so just checking my mic's recording. So today's been interesting for me. So I was at work, and what I do is on my keys, one of my friends gave me a little phone stand, And I've never actually used it for my phone, but I use it for my Apple Watch at work. So with an Apple Watch, if you put it on charge, it sort of shows the time on it like a digital clock. And I find that's really quite a handy way just to sort of glance down, check what time it is, and continue on working. You know, it's just an easy way for me to sort of keep track of time for breaks and stuff, because we get watched quite closely on breaks. Means I don't get in trouble, means my boss is happy, means happy days, right? Happy boss, happy life, I think it's the saying. No, it's not. But you know, by the way, that opens on this train, and now I can't close it. Oops. Hang on, doing a fix. But yeah, yeah. Actually, that is, yeah, I can put it in vigilance mode. So the DSD on this, you either have dead man's mode or vigilance mode. We'll run vigilance mode for a while. Now, at the end of my shift, I picked my watch up and put it on my wrist, but I didn't pick my keys up. It took me until I got home to notice this. So I spent like £20 on an Uber to go back to work, get my keys, then get the security guard to let me out the building. And it just made me really sad and angry with myself. Won't make that mistake again, but yeah. So there's a green, so we're still continuing. I'll just build that speed back up to 60 and then coast a bit more from there. So yeah, that's been me today. Work's been okay actually as well. As you guys know, I've sort of been long-term struggling with mental health, pretty much for the last year now. You know, I'm sort of usually fairly stable, but I think since I've lost my dad, I've been really struggling, because you know, a lot of stuff, even like, oh for fuck's sake, sorry, I didn't hit the reverse there, so it's fine. But yeah, since I lost my dad, I've been really struggling, and I have had some bad days, you know. I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm not at all. So yeah, and work's put me through an OC health meeting, and they actually recommended reducing my hours. So I may end up doing that. But yeah, I'll put it back into dead man's mode just because we are approaching a double amber. So this will probably mean that we're being held at sheet stores. Oh, it's clearing again, so it just means we're catching the train ahead up. So I'll stay at 50 for now. We'll not accelerate beyond this. So I'll do a quick cab tour, I guess, as we coast in here. You've got a train brake, loco brake, pedal. You've got your AWS isolation switch, so you get AWS change end switch, AWS isolation switch. Back on the main panel, you've got your brake cylinder pressure, you've got your brake pipe pressure. This is the vacuum chamber and brake pipe for vacuum brake stock. A speedometer, ammeter, that is your main reservoir pressure for air braking. You've got the meridian passing us there, and 2 ambers. You've got a throttle, 4-step reverser. Down here you've got a 2-tone horn controlled by the spacebar and the B key. I do like the 50 a lot. Obviously reverser sunflower, reverser knob, GSMR radio, engine start stop, fire alarm test, train heat controls, second man's horn. Oh, for Pete's sake, tick to retain. Right. I'm sorry about that. I've been doing this a lot. I'm learning. Yeah. So 6050 is retained. Yeah, so we are definitely getting slowed down for this bit. So I put a notch of brake on, and I'm just going to really just get nice and slow and hopefully creep up to that signal so I don't have to stop at sheet stores. Yeah, so sheet stores, you know, I'm not surprised at all that we're getting held there. It'll either mean there's something crossing in front of us, or they want to let a faster train out in front of us, you know. But like I say, if we slow down, you know, it reduces the chance of us having to stop, basically. So I'm just going to go down to about 20. Really nice and slow. That was Long Eaton Station we've just passed. This route, by the way, I helped test it for just trains. But overall, my knowledge of this route is so good. I'm honestly really pleased with it. So there's 20. Red ahead. So we'll just put 40 inches of pressure in the brakes, get down to 10, and really just creep this last bit up to that brake. So to that thing. See how slowly we're rolling up to it. You just use notch warm because I can release out of that quite quickly. Really slow on the approach now. So what we have, the other wagons in the pack, of course, are the MEA wagons. These are modified HEA wagon underframes. So whereas the MHA, MFA, MHAs I think, sorry, are modified HAA hoppers. These are modified HEA hoppers. So they're hoppers with the shit at the bottom, but yeah. 641 MEAs were produced in total, primarily used for transportation of coal. They have in more recent years seen a wide variety of use on the network, such as scrap metal and sand. As of writing in 2022, these wagons can be seen used on the network. So power on, let's go. A little bit of the old thrash merchantry going on there. So we still retain our line speed of 60 over sheet stores. But it depends what they want to do with us afterwards. So it's two options. Either we're going to get run down the fast lines and then crossed over. I think you can get crossed over at Barrow upon Saw. Or we're going to get crossed over just after the tunnel at Trent Junction. And that limit's a 15 limit. I'm pretending I don't know we're going to get crossed over there, but I do know we're going to get crossed over there because I've, of course, ridden this scenario before on multiple occasions. And Train Sim doesn't change the way it does stuff like that. But it's just, you know, a bit of roleplay and all that. We like a bit of roleplay, don't we, folks? Single amber right ahead. So this is the River Trent that we're crossing in front of us now. You can see the old Ratcliffe Power Station. I believe that's now decommissioned. At least it doesn't seem to get much freight going to it. So I think it probably is, or it's like on a really low capacity production. Or being decommissioned, I should say. Yeah, we've definitely got a red ahead there, so we'll just slow down. I'm going to creep up to it about 15. So we've got a canal back there, I believe. Yep, canal, and then the actual Newark. Sorry, the actual Trent here. Not the actual Newark. It's not called the Newark, it's called the frickin' Trent. There's 15, so I'll just pull that off. We'll just keep an eye on that red ahead. Like I say, it just shows how much preparedness went into the building of the line here, because there's obviously no river here normally, and it just shows, like, if the river was to flood, there's so much extra capacity before it becomes an issue for us as on the trains. So yeah, quite cool, really. So we're just going nice and slow up to that red. I'll stop if I have to. I think it's that 158 that we're waiting for it to clear before we will be allowed out. Basically, as long as I don't actually stop, it's the 0 to 0.1 miles an hour that takes all the energy. There you go. Thrash. Yeah, it was him who we were waiting for. I'm thrashing up to 15, but still. Thrash merchantry was achieved. So there you go. Quite a bit of mileage on well, I said quite a bit of mileage. About 70, 80 miles on class 50s in this, which is quite good, I guess. I do want to do some more stuff with 50s in TS, because I do enjoy driving them, it's just I don't get the chance to do it very much. And I've got to say, for the age of the pack, they are really good. Like, this pack's, what, 3 or 4 years old now? And I still find them just as immersive as the AP-37s, which are seen as, you know, some of the best locos in the game. So, yeah. Pretty cool. And I suppose the AP-37s are about 2 years old themselves now, but you take the point. You take the point. So I'm literally going up to 15 because we're going to be crossing over, but I didn't realise how big this gap was, because that's why we're going over. What I'll do is I just use my loco brake, which you shouldn't do. It's really a really bad habit. But actually, what it does do, which is quite cool, is it should bunch up the wagons behind me. Yeah. So you can see they're now compressed together. So if I just do a quick little zap, there's 15, zap, right? And then we look at this rear wagon here. They should now be just, you know, the buffers should be compressed. There's no acceleration going forward, so the buffers will compress. And then what I'll do, we'll hit the crossover, and after that we can go back up to 60, and I'll show you what effect it has when you fully thrash a loco. So we'll just do this crossover here. I do love a good bit of snaking action. So it's a 50 limit initially, but it does go up. But just bear that 50 in mind, I guess. And what I'm going to do is just get you to keep an eye, like I say, on my buffers there. So just a quick little jab of loco brake, just to pull us down. And then full power. Okay, it's not as much of a jot as I thought it would be. The couplers are done quite tight, but if they're not done up too tight enough, you'll actually see quite a bit of snatch, and that can cause derailment. Interestingly, you can see we're already doing 40. She's a monster, Captain. She's a monster. She's absolutely great. I love this thing. I love these things. Got a little bit hot, so we'll just use a bit of brake just to slow us off. 50 is all I needed. We'll just keep 2.5 notches of power on. Should keep us where we want to be. Brakes are off. Loco's where I want it to be now. So we can just, yeah, have a nice chill drive down to Silleby. So landmarks to look out for, we'll see Loughborough. Loughborough easily recognisable because there's only 3 platforms, and you've got Loughborough traction on the left hand side. Brush traction Loughborough, of course, is where so many great British locomotives have been made. Everything from your class 30, no, not your class 47s, your class 92s, all that kind of good stuff. Class 57s were retraction there. That's just a couple I can think of offhand. Yeah, so that's on the left hand side, and then after that we look for Barrow upon Saw Station. Then after that you've got Mount Sorrel aggregate side on the right hand side. And about a mile after Mount Sorrel is Silleby, so we break up at a sickle afterwards. And it just means you can bring the train to a nice controlled stand in the station. So there you have it. I've got to say, freight train driving is quite relaxing in a way. I understand the allure of it now. Like, I always used to like, you know, getting places fast. But actually, this is just an opportunity to sit back, take a couple of breaths, and, you know, enjoy the world go by. And it's definitely, you know, I understand, like, especially, imagine, you know, being the driver who got to drive this thing. Because this would be a real diagram, this would be a real job. This will have actually happened. Sorry, this would be a real job. I'm using railway terms. Let's just do 6 Zulu 50, 12, 29. Sorry about that. Now I've got too many 2s. There you go. Found it. Let me just quickly check to my display capture on. There's a flicker image of literally this train. So, approaches Draycott working 6 Zulu 50, 12:29 Chaddiston sidings to Wembley Yard with 11 PNA wagons. This was the only location I get, yeah. And that's taken March 2018. So, yeah, and it's a gorgeous 50, some wagons on the back. Like I say, this just sounds like a fun job. But I found a couple of images from different angles from what looks like the same place, actually. Wait. Let's see if I can recreate that image, eh? This isn't Barrow upon Saw yet, but... Is it? Hang on. I'll see if I can find that location. I might not be able to. Yeah, so, yeah, 8 and a bit miles, so about 10 minutes driving time left. But overall, like I said, I really enjoy driving these. It just looks nice to look at, to be honest. I could sit and drive from this angle all day. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? This combination of loco, wagons, and route. It, you know, okay, I know Train Sim World's a bit prettier, but it doesn't get much better than this for me in terms of Train Sim. This, I feel really immersed in this, and I can, you know, okay, I know in my heart of hearts I know it's not real, but it feels pretty close. It feels pretty close indeed. You know, you've got a pretty spot on loco, a pretty spot on wagon, a pretty spot on route. What else do you need, right? Let's just have a quick little glance. So I'm just going to check Barrow upon Saw. So it'll probably be... So it's a decently steep 90 curve. Decently steep curve. So it'll probably be this area here, just before the station. And I'll see what I can do. What I'll do as well is knock that clag factor up to a 10, eh? We need clag on the rear wagon. That's what we need. Oops, sorry about that. So we can go for 60 for now, but yeah, we do drop down. So past a magnet there. We'll just say we know that's for a 50 post. So we're at 50 already, so amazing. We'll just coast. Green aspect, so we'll just proceed. we're not that far from Loughborough now. So Loughborough is also sort of quite close, if not a link. No, it's quite close. It's not actually a link. My apologies. To the Great Central Railway, which is of course quite a famous little route there. Yeah, I think there's. Oh, cool. So what they actually did is they ran down the they ran down the Midland to Bedford, and then went across on the Marston Vale line. That's quite cool. That is, yeah, that would be quite a cool look. Like, to be honest, I'd just be like, okay, you've got no more work after me after this. Can I just stay on board and drive it all the way? Like, yeah. And I know the majority of drivers aren't actually enthusiasts, but this is, yeah, there's something about old trains. I think I was talking about this to a guy I know from, a guy I know, and I think trains pre about 19. I'm going to say the class 442. So the Wessex Electrics. That's like 1990 earlys. Yeah, early 90s. Pre the early 90s, trains had a soul. What do I mean by that? They were machines, but there was something special. You know, there was something really special about the way they were done and the way they were built, the way they were designed. You know, and the way they were looked after. Now trains are mechanisms from getting point A to point B. And I think we lost something along the way. But that's just me. This is Brush, so this is Loughborough. So as I mentioned, Brush Traction Loughborough here on the left hand side. Quite a famous little building here. And then you fly over the top, and in the back here, they actually have some Class 92s, which have basically been stripped for parts. Because they were designed, they were going to work on Eurotunnel, on the sleepers and stuff, but that work never materialised. And they've literally never turned a wheel. Absolute waste. Yeah. Oh no, so it is a link to the Great Central. I do apologise. So that's the link behind us there, the GCR. So 50 in the box. There we go. So we're now at 50, so we'll just coast. So we could probably coast from here to Silleby, just with the efficiency of trains, but we're probably creeping in that like 20 miles an hour. That's what I love about the efficiency of trains. If you're driving a car and you take your foot off the gas at 60, you'd be at a stand, you'd be stationary quite quickly, comparatively. Whereas I took my gas off at 50 and we've coasted about, half a mile, well, maybe 3/4 of a mile? Well, no, how about half a mile now that I've been waffling. And we've only lost 5 miles an hour. And that's quite cool. Like I say, it's the steel wheel, steel rail, and it does help. So yeah. So just go back on throttle. going to keep an eye out for that location for that photo. So I think it could be coming off this curve actually. This curve looks about the right tightness. There's a bridge. Okay, let's see if I can figure out the angle of that bridge. So someone probably standing about here. Yep. So it's taken from a slightly elevated position. Probably about this position. So I've got a little bit of that hatching in. And a little bit of that porter cabin. Yeah. So actually, let's unpause it and let the train roll around the corner. There's a bit of thrash coming off it. So I go to a notch. Go to a clag factor of yeah. Just clag factor of 10 will be fine if we're idle. Or notch, like low notch power. No, that's too much. So interestingly, I feel like there's probably a more of a telephoto effect being gone for here. But if I just go, it's not too, it's not too dissimilar. And here's what I'll say. I could probably pick holes and say it's probably a bit too much of a gap here. I don't think I can actually, because, well, I'm 25. My first major game memory is playing Flight Simulator 95, where the Chicago skyline was a series of lines, and I couldn't even fly from Newcastle because I don't think Newcastle was in the game at that point, and that's how restrictive that game was, and how poor it was. I was dodging the Chicago skyline that was in about 16-bit color. Like that's where we, and that's what I think we forget. MSFS 95. This is my first memory of playing games. It looks something, like that. Whereas now, we can line two images up, and it's near enough exactly the same, and that's scary. That's Mount Sorrel aggregate sightings on the right-hand side, by the way. I'd love to use that a bit more for scenarios, and it's a shame that wasn't a bit more padded. But also, I know with freight yards like that, you can bury 100 wagons into that as a requirements list, and it still looks a bit rubbish. So, yeah. Being overtaken there. Yeah, like I said, there's loads of images of this exact surface. So you can see it's, even spotters can sort of see these as being quite special. Alrighty, so we're just coming down the approaches. So I'm going to probably just go into a notch of brake as we go past this speed post here. And we'll just start the process of slowing the train down to, yeah, because you can see Silleby station, you can sight it. I mean, you can just brake visually, but it just gives us, reference points and stuff. So what we'll do is we'll just go notch one, a brake. It just puts a jab on there, just like to make the train think it's starting to slow off. Probably get to about 20, 25, and then let the brake off. Sorry, I just had a bit of a shiver there. So I'll let that brake off now. And I'll brake again as we sort of approach the end of the platforms at Silleby. Silleby, Silleby, Silleby. My uncle lives not too far from here. Unfortunately, we don't talk to him anymore. I think everyone has one of those uncles, don't they? He was cool. Then we stopped talking to him. I'll probably put a brake on as we go into this bridge again. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I tried to bury a hatchet. He didn't want to bury the hatchet. Simple as. I unilaterally tried without permission of the family to do it. He's like, nah. Yeah, it is what it is. So here we go, coming down the approaches into Silleby Station. You can see Guy and a Half is at the end. I'm presuming that's our relief. So we'll just stop the train about near where he is. Oh God, that was an accident. I'll just bring it to a stand here. You know, it's not about having the train on, it's about having a place for him to take over from us. So I'll just secure the cab because we're handing over. In theory, I'd go off, tick to retain so he doesn't have to re-register. Oh well, GSMO's turned itself off. Lol. And what I would do is just go up to this position here, open my cab door, make sure I've got my bag, and step on out. There we go. Good work, driver. Another driver is here to take over the journey for the remainder of the journey to Manton, Bedford, and Bletchley. Thank you for watching, guys. Don't forget to like the video if you did. Subscribe to see more from me on a regular basis. Let me know what you thought of the AP PNA wagons. We'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.